How everybody doing? My name is Jamar Garfield. I'm a summer youth counselor for the city of Wilmington. And the topic I got for today is goal setting and success. So before I continue about anything, the first question I want to ask is, what is success to you? If you can define success, how would you define it? Most people would define success by having money or a lot of wealth or having a huge brand name or a huge identity like on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, or just simply just being known. That's a very narrow-minded view of what success is. By definition, success is the ability to do what you love to do every day. So that question I'm gonna ask you, do you do what you love to do every single day? And if you do you consider that to be successful enough for you? Success can come in many different forms, in many different ways. Success cannot be defined and put into a box like a lot of people will wish it could be. So for example, somebody can feel success, could be success. Somebody can feel successful if they volunteer at a food bank, if they go and help out at a homeless shelter, if they go and volunteer at a YMCA or a Boys and Girls Club. At the end of the day, success is defined by many different things. Again, success can be, if you view success as having a lot of money, then that's your view of what success is. But just know that success cannot be defined by one person. And that one person definition of success does not relate to every single person. Another thing about success is that success can change every single day. Success can't just be one thing and that's it for you. You can love to do multiple different things. So for example, one day you might want to be able to read 3 chapters in a book. Then the very next day you want to go volunteer at a shelter. And then the very next day you want to go jogging for a mile. Every single day, as long as you're able to do what you love to do, then that day is a success for you. It might not be a success for the person next to you, the person in front of you, or behind you. But as long as you're able to do what you want to do, success can be attained and success can be easily defined. There's also a difference between having success and being successful. So for example, success is basically focused on a particular goal or action. So for example, if you're an athlete and you play basketball and you have a basketball game this like one evening, and your goal is, I want to score 15 points, have 4 rebounds or 5 assists or whatever. Your goal is those numbers. If you're able to achieve those numbers, then you as an individual have success. Doesn't necessarily mean the team would be successful, but you as an individual will have success for that night. And this could go for any profession. If you want to be a hairstylist and you want to be able to be the fastest braider anywhere, you will constantly take steps to learn how to braid and how to do it quickly and as efficiently as possible in order to achieve that goal. And again, one day you might braid it might take you 8 hours to braid. And then the very next day, it might take you 7.5 hours. That might be defined as success for you. And again, success can't be defined by one person, and success can't be defined and put into a box. Success is pretty much focused on the individual and what they love to do and their ability to do what they love to do every single day. The biggest thing that goes hand in hand with success is not having a vision or even having the money or anything to go along with it. The biggest key component to success is failure. Any successful person in history can tell you that they failed before they became successful. Michael Jordan, for example, was kicked off his junior high school basketball team for not being good enough. Instead of sitting there and sulking and being upset at his ability of not being good enough in his coach's eyes, he took it upon himself to go and shoot basketballs. He took it upon himself to go train himself to become better. So when the next year came around and he made the team, he proved everybody wrong, even his coach wrong. And he even held that ship all the way into his final days of playing in the NBA. His goal was to be the best basketball player on the court anytime he stepped on the court. And many people to this day believe he's the greatest basketball player of all time, even though it's debatable. But we're going to leave that discussion for another day. But overall, success cannot be defined without failure. Failure is the key thing to any successful person, as failure gives you the ability to look back on the mistakes you made, and it allows you to learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward. Failure is the ultimate teacher in life. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life, doesn't matter who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with in life. Failure is the biggest thing that can teach you. Failure gives you an opportunity for you to make a mistake and learn from that mistake. Now, many people don't take failure in that light. Many people think failures as absolute, as concrete. And failure is not absolute or concrete. Failure is more like liquid. Failure shifts, it moves, it looks different. It's different versions, different forms of failure. But overall, failure serves one purpose, and that is a teaching tool. And it's up to you to show your perseverance and learn from that, instead of sulking and hiding and just running away from the issues. So now that we went over what success is, what success look like, what the definition of success is, the difference between what success is and what successfulness is, and we also talked about the key important of failure. The second key component of success is goal setting. Goal setting is very important because it allows for you to have a long-term vision with a short-term motivation. It allows you to organize your time and resources in order for you to achieve your goal. So for nobody in history has ever been successful without a plan, without an action, without a goal written down or mentally embedded into their mind. Nobody has ever been successful by accident. Everybody has had a goal and had a vision of what their success looked like and made the appropriate moves and did everything in their ability to order to be successful. One of the things and one of the most helpful tools to use for goal setting is the acronym SMART. I know many of you probably heard this acronym or seen it somewhere in a movie or seen it in the classroom or whatever. But success is defined, SMART, I got the mosquito, but cool. So for example, the S stands for specific. Specific is narrowing and focusing your goal to make it easily obtainable. Now, no goal or action will be easy to attain. There's always hardships and steps you have to take in order to make that a reality. But making sure your goal is specific and focused and detailed allows you to stay focused on it. If your goal is too broad of a thing, your mind starts to wander to different aspects of that thing. So for example, if I want to be a teacher, I wouldn't just say, oh, I'm gonna go to school and be a teacher. I'm gonna first learn about which subject I love to teach. I then want to know what type of style I want to teach in. Once I learn what type of style I want to teach, I want to know what type of attitude or setting I would like to teach in. I want to also learn what criteria, what curriculum do I want to follow in order to give the information, to teach this information. So those are always details into your goals in order to achieve them. If your goal is too broad and too out, you will never be able to define what you really want. You'll know what you want, but you won't be able to define it. And having the ability to define what you want is the biggest thing when it comes down to having a goal. The second letter is M, which is measurable. This allows for your progress of your goal to be tracked. So any goal you make, you want to set yourself a timetable for how you want to make this goal. Once you set a timetable, you want to create increments in that timetable in order to track yourself. So for example, if I want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, the 3 months are my timetable. But my measurables, my increments would be, let's say, a week. So every week, I would keep track of what I eat, how many calories I take in each day, how many hours I went to the gym, how many hours I jogged, how much weight that I lose each and every week. Those are increments that's allowed to be measured and allow my progress to be checked, to be tracked. You don't want no goal that is not trackable, because then you'll lose focus, because then your mind will start racing and focus on other things. You want to be able to keep your goals measurable in order to keep yourself focused on that particular goal. The third letter is A, and it stands for attainable. Making sure your goal is not out of reach and making sure your goal fall in lines with what you want to do. So for example, if you're 16 and your goal, you want to be a teacher, and you say you want to be a teacher within 4 years, in a realistic setting, that is not possible. So that will make your goal unachievable, which means that your goal, that you have a goal that doesn't help you in the long run. Having a goal that's attainable. So if you want to become a teacher and you're 16, the first step to getting there is to graduate high school. The second step is to enter college and start taking classes to become a teacher. If you're 16 and you want to become a teacher, that goal, that timetable for that goal is a 6-year, 7-year goal. You should make sure all your goals are attainable in a time frame in which is worthy of it or is capable of it. If you want to gain 20 pounds in 2 months, 20 pounds of muscle, realistically, that's not possible. You'll have to do a lot of things to make that possible. But if you say, I want to gain 20 pounds of muscle by this time next year, then you should be able to measure your progress on a monthly basis of how much muscle you're gaining. So making sure your goal is attainable and not out of reach is very important. R stands for relevant. Making sure your goal is relevant to what you want to achieve in life is very, 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 very important. If your goal does not serve any relevance to your lifelong goal, then what's the point of it? Making sure your goal is relevant. So again, let's go back to the teacher example. If I want to be a teacher and I want to be able to graduate high school. So your first goal would be to graduate high school. That's a relevant goal. Learning to play the guitar while wanting to become a teacher, that's not really a relevant goal. That's really a side goal. That's really a personal goal, but it's not really a goal that would keep you on your success of keep you on your path of what is successful for you. So making sure your goals are relevant, making sure your goals are in line with your thought process and what you want to do later in life is very important. The last letter is T, and T stands for timetable. Now, I touched on this a little bit as I was going through, but a timetable is pretty much when do you want to get something done? When do you want this goal to be achieved? So again, if you want to gain 20 pounds of muscle and you give yourself a year's worth of time, you have a year. That's your timetable. The year is your timetable in order to achieve this goal. If you do not set a timetable, it does not allow you to focus. If you just say, oh, I want to become a teacher, and don't say when I want to become a teacher, then eventually you will start getting lost and sidetracked by other things. You won't be as focused on your goal as you should be. So making sure your goal has a timetable and a set date is better, as it allows you to track yourself towards your end goal. Now, with the timetable, you also want to give yourself a little wiggle room, because things can change and life can happen. Again, if you want to gain 20 pounds of muscle in a year, but all the gyms are going to be closed for the next 4 months, you have to adjust your timetable in order to fit your goal. You might have to be like, okay, I want to gain 20 pounds of muscle in a year and a half, or I want to gain 20 pounds of muscle a year from when the gym's open. That's a better timetable to achieve your goal, and that allows you to be more successful later on. So overall, goal setting is very important to success. Again, nobody is never successful in life by accident. People who are successful have a goal, have an idea, and have a plan of action behind those goals in order to achieve them. Nobody in life ever woke up one day and say, I want to have $1 million, and $1 million appear. They have to get up and they have to work for that $1 million. And that's the main thing when it comes down to goal setting. It allows you to stay focused on what you want to do. And it prevents you from being sidetracked by anything that life throws at you. So again, goal setting is very important to success. And goal setting go hand in hand with failures. You might set a goal in life and fail at achieving that goal, that doesn't mean that your life is a failure. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. You should take from that failure, like, hey, maybe, for example, if you wanted to gain 20 pounds of muscle in a year, and let's say you only gain 10, you can look back at the year and be like, okay, what did I do different? What did I do wrong? How can I change that for a future reference? For example, you might have been eating out. You might have been eating takeout 2-3 times a week during the year. That could possibly slow down your progress at gaining muscle mass. If you want to be a teacher, you have to also be able to understand that, hey, this is the timetable I have. If I'm not able to meet this timetable, how can I adjust? I also want to stay focused on my goals, make sure my goals is measurable, make sure I can keep track of myself and my progress. Because there ain't nothing more frustrating than having a goal or idea and not having the ability to achieve that goal or idea. So overall, goal setting and success is key to anything in life. It's what successful people do to be successful, obviously. So pretty much just focusing, narrowing your ideas, and giving yourself enough details should better prepare you for goal setting. And don't be afraid to fail. You're young. Most of y'all are 14 through 18 years old. Some of y'all may be 19, 20, 21. We're young. Y'all are young. And failures are going to come a dime a dozen. So just expect it and embrace it. Once you embrace that failure and learn from that failure, then nothing will be able to stop you, because nobody can tell you you can't do something. So making sure in building resilience, it takes time. You're not just going to wake up one day and be like, okay, I'm just this resilient person. It takes time. It takes effort. And you have to build it, just like you build up anything. Just like you raise a building or build up your character. So as of right now, I'm gonna show y'all a little video. It's a little TED Talk video from a woman who attended a little conference or a podium at Pepperdine University. And she talks about her own struggles in life, how she had to persevere, how she had to show resilience through hardship, through heartbreak, and how she still came up on the other side successful. So take a look at that video.
I was born a twin. And growing up, I had a lot in common with my twin sister. But when we were kids, we took the standardized IQ test. And they told me, "You're not the smart one." I was surprised because genetically we were the same. I don't know if that test was correct. And I don't care. Because at an early age, I decided I was going to control my destiny. And I was determined to be successful. My teachers said that in order to be successful, I had to excel at the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Only later did I learn that only one of those actually started with an R. There was one other R that I needed in order to be successful. And it's not what you think, but it's what all of the successful people I know have. And it's what I had after I was broke, unemployed, and devastated at 23 to being more successful than I could ever have imagined. And the 4th R is called resilience. Resilience is such a key part of being successful. You don't need to be the smartest, you don't need to be the hardest working, and you don't need to have the highest IQ. Have you ever failed? In school, in work, in business? Well, if you have, great, because you are one step closer. Because failure is essential to mastering resilience. I was watching an episode of The Biggest Loser recently, and it reminded me of my dad. Not because my dad's trying to lose weight on TV for money, but because early on, when I was a kid, he used to ask me, "Kim, what's the worst thing that happened to you today?" That's kind of a weird thing to ask. But he did it for a purpose. He was building my resilience. He was making me stronger. So I'd tell him the worst thing that had happened to me that day. You'll never believe it, Dad. Wait till you hear this. And recently I called him, and I told him, Dad, you'll never believe what happened to me today. We won a big contract. But one of my key engineers had left. How was I going to build it? I was actually proud of myself. There's no way he could top that. He said, Kimmy, I'm so glad you called me. One of my companies can't make payroll, and I was going to call you for a loan. What? He won that, and I was a loser. What my dad taught me early on is that failure hurts badly. But when you get knocked down, you have to get up again and keep going. I had my worst failure at age 23, right after I graduated from Pepperdine. I went to work for a hot internet startup in Los Angeles. It was a job of my dreams. I called all of my friends. I said, I'm going to be a .com millionaire. You guys need to come work with me. We can all be millionaires. What could go wrong? It was right after Yahoo had gone public, and I was confident Yahoo would be the biggest search engine forever. It was like being on a rocket ship. But unfortunately, that rocket ship crashed, and I was devastated. In an instant, someone had erased my career, my identity, and my future. I had to lay off all of my friends. And eventually I was laid off too. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have anyone to call because my friends who I'd promised to become .com millionaires now were actually broke. Not even a Hallmark card can help that. I was broke, unemployed, and devastated. The average 23-year-old is only one of these things, and I was all three. I wanted to go home, go to bed, pull the covers over my head, and have an affair with Ben and Jerry. I had hit rock bottom. And I also hit the bottom of the pint of Rocky Road. And at that moment, I realized I needed to get up. I had to keep going. I believed in the internet, and I believed in the opportunity. There was only one problem. I was broke. My track record of bankruptcy made it hard for anyone who wanted to lend me money. The economy had crashed, so I called the one person I thought could give me more flexible terms on a loan. My 80-year-old grandma. I said, Grandma, I've got an amazing investment opportunity for you in the internet. She said, Kimmy, what's an internet? I tried to explain to her what the internet was, but it was a little bit hard for her to grasp. So I think it turned out well for me because she gave me the loan anyway. She made a bet on me. So with $10,000 from my grandma, I bought a computer, a business license, and a one-way ticket to Hawaii. Sounds beautiful. It was. Sounded like a perfect opportunity. Everyone says, poor you, you had to go to Hawaii. But the reality is, I went there because I could live rent-free with my boyfriend. And I spent the next 3 years working from his kitchen table. I didn't learn the hula. I didn't learn to surf. Actually, did I forget to mention, this was the reality. His sister and her best friend actually lived with us, and 10 feet away every day, they would blare MTV and smoke weed. They were hotboxing my office. It was very, very hard to concentrate, and not the most ideal startup environment. And it was at this kitchen table that I took control of my future and my destiny. After 5 years, the company had grown to $100 million, which I sold in 2008, and sold again in 2014 for $235 million. It was at this time that I learned resilience, and that resilience was a muscle that you could strengthen and build. But in 2014, that muscle was about to be tested to its breaking point. This is a story I've never shared publicly until now. It just hurt too much. 5 years ago, when I was looking to sell my company, I put a Post-it on my bathroom mirror. Said the date, June, said the potential acquirer, and had my vision there so I could see it every day. What I also had next to that vision was a picture of the ultrasound of my twins. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. I had tried for nearly 6 years. I was trying to get pregnant, and it just didn't happen. We did everything. Having a family was a dream I wanted and a gift I wanted my entire life, but nothing worked. IVF, the doctors, we didn't know. I would have traded all of my business success to have a baby. So we decided to get a surrogate. And 6 years later, it worked. We got the news we were having twins. And being a twin, I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. This was the best news I'd ever heard. And we weren't going to tell anyone till at least the second trimester. We'd been on a roller coaster during the pregnancy trying to get pregnant, and we just didn't want to jinx it. It was nerve-wracking. And plus, I had this big deal I was working on to occupy my mind. It was the perfect plan. I would sell the company in June, and the babies would come in August. But life never goes according to plan. I'd been training my whole life. I'd built my resilience muscle. But on May 5th, 2014, the best and worst day of my life, I got a call from the doctor. They said, "Kim, your babies have an infection, and they're going to be delivered." It was 24 weeks, 4 months early. Did you know the number one cause of newborn death is prematurity? And that's anything under 37 weeks. We were at 24. The doctor said there was a 50-50 chance they would even survive. I felt so helpless and so powerless. It wasn't until even a couple weeks ago that I could even look at a picture. I had to call my family and ask them to send this to share with you. When our twins were born, we didn't get a hold of them. They weighed less than a pound, and they were whisked away to the newborn intensive care unit. My husband and I did not know what we were going to do. The first time that we were even able to touch them was through the hands of an incubator. My husband could put his ring on the wrist of my son, and it would dangle like a bracelet. My son's brain was bleeding, and my daughter had a hole in her heart. Every day, we did not think they were going to survive. My company, there was hundreds of lives depending on me to close the deal. And in the hospital, there was 2 children fighting for their lives. That picture was a vivid memory, a vivid nightmare that I never wanted to look at, never wanted to relive. Our twins taught us what it meant to be strong and resilient. Weeks went by, and my daughter had a successful heart surgery. and my son's brain stopped bleeding before it impacted him. They showed us true strength. And day by day, they got stronger. 4.5 months later, we finally got to take them home. Before that day, if someone had asked me what success looks like, I would have said this. Yes, we closed the deal, and we sold for nearly $250 million. But today, if you ask me what success looks like, it looks like this. John and Elle taught us what true resilience looks like. So if you fail, learn from it. And if you fall, get back up. And if it feels impossible, keep going. That is the secret to success. Thank you.
Okay, now that you watched the video, the one question I want to ask to you is, what does success look like to you? If you have a pencil or paper in front of you, like I do right here, this is what I want you to do. I want you to draw two lines, one going across the page and one going up and down, just like this. In the top left corner, I want you to put 3 months. In the top right corner, I want you to put 6 months. In the bottom left corner, I want you to put 1 year. And then the bottom right corner, I want you to put 5 years. Just like this. In each box, I want you to put a goal you want to achieve by then. The goal can be anything from simply earning money this summer. It could be graduating high school. It could be attending college. Anything you deem as successful or a goal you want to achieve within these months or within these time frames should be written down. So for example, in 3 months, I want to be able to be an intern in college. I want to be able to in 6 months, I want to be able to earn my bachelor's degree, which is a goal of mine forever. And I will be super excited for that. In a year, I either want to be working in the profession I choose to or going back to school to earn my master's degree. And in 5 years, I want to own a house, I want to own a car, and I want to have a career. I don't want to have a job, I want to have a career, something I'm very passionate about. So in these boxes, I want you to write down all the goals you want to do and how you're going to achieve these goals. Because just sitting there and writing what you want to do would not help you. But understanding the progress and the path you have to take can narrow your focus and allow you to understand how to achieve your goals. So again, success and goal setting goes hand in hand. No person is ever successful without a goal. And a person with a goal has a higher chance of being successful than a person with not. So again, my name is Jamar. This topic was goal setting and success, and I hope you learned something from this, okay?